I'm Maya Ka'ala, basically Israelite located out in the Philadelphia area. And today I'm doing a video on basically I'm doing the second part to real sciences in the Bible. And basically, on this lesson I'm going to basically give you the correct breakdown of Genesis chapter 1. I've been an Israelite for almost 5 years now, and what I've noticed is there isn't one Israelite with the proper breakdown of Genesis chapter 1. Alright? And there's been a lot of elders in this thing for the last 40 years, 40 some years, and a lot of people came in and out of this truth. And there's still some guys still in the truth, some elders still in the truth. And you got a lot of new guys that came into the truth, around the same time I did, or maybe a little bit before that. And unfortunately, nobody has the correct breakdown of Genesis. And I might show a little clip at the end of the video of everybody breaking it down wrong, but that's not even necessary, But today, it's 2014, and it's kind of fucked up that nobody actually broke down Genesis chapter 1 the right way, and it's like, how can anybody really trust your word if you can't even get Genesis chapter 1 right? But at the same time, I know how it is, and the Bible's pretty deep. It's just a thick book, it's a lot of breakdowns, and things happen. So I'll just leave it at that. But from now on, when people break down Genesis, they need to break it down this way, the correct way. And that's basically what I have to say before this video starts. And basically I'm about to get into it. But ISUPK, every group, every Israelite group there is, nobody's breaking it down right. So I'm not even gonna name names. Alright, but here it is. So we're gonna start. I'm gonna start with Genesis. We're just gonna start reading, and I'll break it down in between each verse, and we'll go from there. Alright, so start from the top. In the beginning, the powers created heaven and the earth. Alright, so we know the word for God means Elohim, is Elohim, which means the powers. Alright, so that's why I said put the word powers in there for the word God. Alright, so back to the second verse. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Alright, so it said the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Alright, so basically it's saying that the earth was, it was empty, it wasn't being occupied, and who knows what type of formation the waters were in. Alright, now let me say the easiest way to do this. Let's pretend we're the angels. Alright, so we're the angels. Alright, so you see the word powers, that's talking about the Lord and the angels. We already went through that in the first video. So if you're having trouble understanding this, go to part 1 of Real Sciences in the Bible. Alright, so right now, we're going to pretend we're the angels. Alright, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of the powers moved upon the face of the waters. Okay, so the Spirit of the powers, is basically hovering. Alright, you have the earth. Okay, right now it's only a ball of water. Okay, matter of fact, let's do it like this. We're in heaven right now. Okay, we're the angels. Okay, so right now we're creating the heavens and the earth. Alright, and the earth was without form. Alright, so we created the earth already. Alright, and void and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Okay, so basically you have Earth, alright, and you have darkness everywhere. Okay? Alright, so basically we're creating the Earth right now. Alright? So we create a big ball of water at the moment. Okay? Alright, so right now it said the spirit of the powers moved upon the face of the waters. Alright, so our spirit, we're hovering over the waters. Okay? And basically all you have in between the water is darkness and a ball of water. Okay? There's no light yet. Darkness and a ball of water. Okay? So let's say you were in the water and popped your head out. All you're going to see is pitch blackness. Alright? Nothing. Darkness. Okay? Now God said, let there be light. And there was light. Alright? So we know scientifically, they can actually see sound waves underwater. Alright? So we know, that when you speak stuff into existence, it is possible. Okay? That's not something that's impossible. Okay? That actually can happen. Alright? And God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. Alright? So basically at this time, you still got a big ball of water. Okay? We're surrounded by darkness. Okay? Then the Lord creates light. Okay? The powers, the angels. Okay? So we're creating light. Okay? We create the light. Alright? And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Alright? So this is the first day. Alright? The first day we created the earth. Alright? We create the light. Okay? And we separate the light from the darkness. Okay? So basically, this is basically the atmosphere that we're creating right now. Okay? The earth's atmosphere. Alright? But right now it's still one big ball of water. Okay? Or ball of moisture. Let's say that. Okay, that would probably be more accurate. Maybe. Alright? So right now we illuminated the elements, some elements, and we created an atmosphere. Half of it we made light, the other half we kept darkness. Alright? But there's still a little light, in that half, the other half. Okay? It's not pitch black. It's not dark, completely black darkness. Alright? Alright, so half of the atmosphere is light, the other half is not. Okay, it's darkness. Alright, and then under it, right now, basically everywhere, directly under it, you still have water everywhere. Okay? And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Okay? And the power said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And the powers made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. Okay, so basically right now you got a big ball of water. Alright, half of it is lit because that's the Earth's atmosphere. That's the light. That's the original light that we created. Okay, the angels. Okay, alright, so half of it's light, half of it's darkness. Okay, it's the Earth. It's round. Okay, so right now we're creating. Now we got to put the firmament in there. Now, what is the firmament? The easiest way I can explain this is like this. Alright? The firmament would be the force that controls all physics. Okay? So all the laws that the universe lives by, that's the firmament. Okay? It has to live by the firmament's laws. Okay? So whatever the firmament, how we interact with the firmament, are the laws that we have to live by on this earth. When we say, basically of things that are possible for us to do, so-called possible. Okay? Now, if you get a chariot of Israel, we already know the chariots are. Those are the angels. Okay? They don't have to live by these laws. Okay? These are the laws that earthlings have to live by, humans. Okay? In this flesh. Alright? So, basically, the firmament is what all laws of physics have to abide by. Alright? So, and God called the light that. Alright. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Okay? So now we're taking this firmament, alright, this force, okay? And we're basically putting this force, okay, in between the waters, okay? So in between the water on earth, basically you're going to have the water that's in the sky, then you're going to have the water under it, okay? The oceans, okay? And what's in between, we would say it's air, you know what I mean? We would say it's space, okay? But it's the firmament, okay? So right now, we just created the firmament, alright? So now we have space in between the water under us and space in between the water above us, which we call clouds or whatever, okay? Alright, now, okay, on top of that, there's also the firmament goes out into space, okay? So the firmament is in between the water under us and above us and outside of the earth, okay? That's the firmament. That's where the firmament is located. That's the firmament, okay? And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. Okay, so obviously he gathered the water under the firmament into one place, called them seas, and dry land, which we call earth, appeared. Okay, and it was only one piece of land at this time. All right, one piece of land. And God called the dry land earth, and gathered together of the waters, and called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. Okay, so now the Lord is bringing forth the vegetation. Okay, now at this point there is no sun, there is no moon, there is no stars. Okay, but yet the Lord was able to grow fruits, veggies, herbs, grass, everything of that nature. Okay, he was able to grow vegetation without the sun or the stars. Okay, so when they tell you, we should be worshiping the sun because we wouldn't be able to grow plants and we wouldn't be able to get our vitamin D, we wouldn't be able to live, period. Okay, that's a bullshit ass lie. Okay, our main source of light obviously comes from the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, because the Earth's atmosphere is where the light came from first. That's our main source of light. Alright, when you wake up in the morning, a lot of times you don't even see the sun. Alright, but yet it's still light out. Alright, so that's just a little example of us getting our light from the Earth's atmosphere. Alright, and plus there's plenty of videos on it also. But like I said, vegetation grew. There was no sun yet. Okay, we still didn't have a sun yet, but we were able to. The vegetation was able to grow. Okay, we were able to grow plants. Plants were able to grow without the sun. Okay. Alright, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament. of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Okay? Alright, so now the Lord is creating, we're creating, the angels are creating the stars and, the sun and the moon. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. Okay? Now when you look up the word firmament, okay, the word there is rakia, okay, which means solid. Okay, it's like another word, basically another way of saying dense. Okay? Now, the easiest way to explain the firmament would be the firmament is what occupies space. Okay? Every little piece of space there's a firmament there. The firmament is there. You might as well just call it a firmament space. You might as well, because it's there. That's what it is. Alright? And basically, let's say you roll a bowling ball down a straight line. Alright? This is a road that goes straight. No hills up, no hills down. It's a flat surface. Okay? We can't explain why that bowling ball is going to stop besides the firmament. Okay? Now, if it wasn't for the firmament, the bowling ball should just keep going. You would think logically there's no force that should be stopping the bowling ball because we can't see anything. Okay? But that's the firmament. Okay? That's what slows it down and stops it. When you see guys skydiving from the air, it looks like they're actually on a flat surface. Okay? That's the firmament. Okay? It's not actually, empty space. Okay? Like, the firmament is a force. It's not just a force. It's actually particles. Okay? An infinitely dense medium made up of the smallest, tiniest particles you can think of. Okay? Alright, so back to the book. Alright. God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons, for days and years. Alright, so right now, obviously, the Lord is putting the stars, okay? And He put the sun and the moon in the firmament. Alright, so now you have a lot of people that are Israelites, let's say a lot of Israelites, who said that the firmament was the ozone layer, or the firmament is the atmosphere, or it's a canopy. Okay? And that's all wrong. Okay? They all got it wrong. Alright? Because it says, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven. Okay? Now the firmament is different from, what they have for Hebrew as the word heaven, Shemayim. Okay? Basically, if you're going to put lights in the firmament, okay, there's no way in hell that the firmament can be the ozone layer or the atmosphere. How can you put stars? Are you trying to, like, I don't know how they broke it down this way. I don't know how they did it for this long. But are you trying to tell me that there's actually stars in the ozone layer? So when I look up at nighttime, the stars are actually closer than what they appear to be? Is that what you're telling me? Nah, obviously that's wrong. Alright, so basically, the elders, they all got it wrong. Period. They all got it wrong. So this firmament is basically the biggest thing in the universe, okay? Because the firmament is everywhere. The firmament is within you, okay? Alright, that's why, you can, that's twofold when, the Lord says the kingdom of heaven is within you, because that's real. Okay? Now, basically, that's the proof that, they totally got this thing wrong. When you see that the Bible says, and there were lights, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide one day from night, divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. Alright? That lets you know that there's no way that the firmament is the earth's atmosphere. Alright? Or it's the ozone layer. It can't be. That's impossible. Okay? So, like I said, nobody who calls themselves Israelites has a correct breakdown of Genesis chapter 1. Because nobody knows what the firmament is. Okay? So, we're going to get it right this time now. Alright. Lights in the firmament of heaven. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day, and to rule over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature. And alright, well, after this you can pretty much break this thing down, the correct way, on your own. This after that it doesn't really get too complicated. So basically what I need to do is, a lot of people, they're like, okay, so how do you explain the firmament? Okay? Now, without getting scientific with it, the firmament is basically like the Bible says. Okay? It says God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. Okay? Now, basically, what the firmament does, what does the firmament do? The firmament, okay, obviously, it's within us, it's within everything, okay? Every little atom, okay? Nothing gets smaller than the firmament particles. Okay? There's nothing smaller than the firmament particles. Okay? No atom, no photon, no proton, nothing. Nothing is smaller than the firmament particle. Okay? So it's within us, it's everywhere. Okay? It's out in space. Okay? It's in the clouds. Everywhere you can think of. Okay? Everything is made up of this. Okay? This is basically the stuff that the universe is made up of. Okay? Also, what does the firmament do? The firmament is what has the whole universe orbiting around the earth. Okay? The firmament is that force, okay, that makes the whole universe orbit around the earth. Okay? Revolve around the earth. Okay? The firmament also keeps the earth stationary. Okay? But you got the whole universe revolving around the earth. Okay? And in the middle, the earth is there standing still. Okay? It's not spinning. It's not traveling. It's standing still, not moving. Okay? And the whole universe is revolving around us. Okay? Now, basically, one of my questions was, like how, this is how I pretty much came across this information. My question was, I asked the Lord, and the Lord showed me the same night, how does the sun. Okay, the sunlight hits the earth. But why does it look like a flashlight type of light? It's not. It doesn't look like a dull light that's out there, in the middle of space. Why does it look like basically like when you're looking at it like you're looking at the front of a flashlight flashing into your eyes? Okay, instead of basically a a light out in the middle of the sun that's not really here. It's not like how does that light travel to where it gets to the earth? Okay, and it shines through, and it looks like when you look at it, you look at the sun directly, it looks like a flashlight's in your eye. That's why you can't actually look at it that long, okay, because it's so bright. All right, but come to find out, basically, the firmament is what carries light waves to the earth. Okay, that's what I found out. All right, so when you have stars, I don't know how far any of these stars are from us, but they're obviously light years away. Okay, and basically, any star, the sun, whatever, what I mean, like that's how light travels. Okay. Now, when you see the moon, it's just a big rock, and it's out in the middle of space, and it's not like shining on you. But my thing is, why are stars and the sun like shining on us like flashlights? It looks like, okay. But what happens is the light travels through space. The only reason it's able to travel is because of the firmament. Okay, that's what the firmament is for. All right, it's for the lights. All right, for lights to actually travel to Earth. Okay. Now, basically, what happens is this light surrounds the Earth's atmosphere, and then it concentrates into one spot. Okay. And then it looks like a flashlight type effect. I can't remember the words that I really want to use. All right. So basically, I answered my question, when I found out this information. But another thing about that is, if you take that same light, the starlight, okay, and you take a glass, okay, basically you can get that light to come into the glass, and then you'll see a reflection coming out of the glass on the ground or on the wall, whatever you're projecting the reflection onto. Okay. Now, if you move the glass a little bit, the light will travel with it until you move totally out. Move the glass totally out of the way of the light. Okay. But the first couple inches, it'll travel with it. If you move the glass a little bit, okay, the light will travel with it, and you'll see that light until eventually you take the whole focus off of the star. Okay. And that's just an example of how they're able to tell that this Earth is not moving, okay, and that the sun revolves around the Earth, and so do the stars. Okay, that's one of the ways they're able to tell. Okay, so back into it, the closest science they have to explain the firmament. Okay, closest thing they have to explain the firmament would be the Planck particles, okay, that Max Planck created. That would be the closest science that they have right now to explain the firmament. Esau science, of course, there's no way you can actually really measure the firmament, okay? The only thing they can actually measure is the surface temperature, okay? They actually see the surface temperature. Everything else, they don't have the technology to measure it, okay? Everything else about the firmament particles or the firmament, besides the surface temperature, they don't have the technology to measure it, alright? So, but if you want an idea of kind of what the firmament is like, I'll use Esau's, let's say, his explanation for the firmament, okay? the closest thing he comes to explaining the firmament. Because most people, most scientists, they don't want to talk about the firmament. Okay? Alright? They don't want to talk about it. They know it's in Genesis, but they don't want to talk about it. Alright? These scientists are just like anybody else. They want to lie to you about everything. Okay? They don't want you to believe that we have the true story of creation. They don't want you to believe that the whole universe revolves around the earth and the earth is stationary, not moving. Okay? And one example of, if you read the Bible and you haven't figured out that the earth is stationary and the sun revolves around the earth, well, Joshua 10 and 13 will explain that. Alright? And it says, Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down about a whole day. And there was no day like that before or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Okay, so that's just an example, that basically, the sun revolves around the earth. The earth doesn't revolve around the sun. Okay, you guys got it all wrong. All right, so all you niggas talking about, Israel, all we do is take information from other civilizations, and we compiled our Bible by stealing information from all these other civilizations. Come on, man. Y'all full of shit. Alright? All you niggas wicked as fuck. Now y'all know damn well this Bible don't say nothing about the earth revolving around the sun. Okay? Alright? And I just gave you plenty of reasons why there's no way in hell you should be worshiping the fucking sun. Alright? You niggas are simple as shit. Alright, instead of just using the things that God gave us, alright, to make our lives more efficient or, sustainable, you niggas want to worship it. Alright? You don't want to worship the creator that created all this bullshit. You want to worship something like a fucking sun. Like, you niggas is crazy, man. Y'all are crazy as hell. But I'm not even going to get into that. If you want to worship a sun, why don't you worship a star that's bigger than the sun? The sun ain't the biggest star. So, y'all niggas y'all just retarded at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And niggas need to stop acting like we stole your doctrine, because the Bible is the only one with the doctrine, that speaks on the earth. Not I'm not gonna say we're the only ones, but we know that the sun revolves around the earth. Alright? We know that the universe revolves around the earth. Alright? We're not stupid. Alright? Now, a lot of Israelites, they don't know this. That's okay. Most of them ain't men of the Lord. Some of them might be. Eventually they want to get this information and get it right. Alright? So, now, like I said, the closest thing to explaining the firmament that Esau made up was Max Planck. Max Planck, he was a scientist back from, I guess it would be like the early 1900s. Okay, so basically, here's his he came up with some fundamental constants, natural units. Okay, so like I said, you can't measure the firmament. You can't measure it. All right, but let's say if you want to estimate and try to measure it, this is what you would come up with. Okay, so the length of a firmament particle. All right, well, Planck, he calls them Planck particles. Okay, so that would be 2 times 10 to the negative 33 centimeters. Okay, That's a point, 33 zeros, and then a 1. Okay? That's how small it is. Okay? The mass is 2 times 10 to the negative 5 grams. Alright? And these particles actually have a time unit attached to them. Okay? This isn't the average atom. Alright? Like I said, these are the smallest particles in the universe. Okay? Nothing is smaller. These particles are within every atom. Okay? So they're everywhere. Within every electron, neutron. Alright? These firmament particles are everywhere. Alright? Within all these things. Okay? Now, there's a time attached to it. It's 5 times 10 to the negative 44 seconds. Okay? Meaning these particles actually come into existence and go out of existence. Come into existence and go out of existence. Constantly. Constantly. Alright? And the time that we have on these particles is the shortest time length that we can actually come up with. Alright? But even this isn't, like I said, you can't measure this stuff. Only thing they can measure is the temperature. And the temperature of it is 1 times 10 to the 32nd Kelvin. Okay? So that's the temperature of these particles. Alright? And no temperature is hotter than that. Okay? There's no time shorter than 5 times 10 to the negative 44 second. And that's how long they come into existence and leave existence. Okay? Nothing bigger than the mass. Okay? 2 times 10 to the negative 5 grams. Okay? And the length, there's nothing shorter than this length. 2 times 10 to the negative 33 centimeters. Okay? So like I said, if you were actually going to estimate and come up with some units that were similar to a Planck particle, then this was probably, this would probably be the closest thing to it that Esau came up with. Alright? So, getting down to it. Now, let's just say, let's say if you want to get an idea how big the firmament is, alright, a piece of the firmament would be, alright, or a Planck particle, alright. These are Planck particles that we're using the measurements of, but the Planck particle is another name for the firmament, alright. Now, let's say if you enlarge a Planck length to the size of a hydrogen atom, okay. So you take the size of a firmament and you enlarge it, a piece of a firmament, and a firmament particle, and you enlarged it to the size of a hydrogen atom. Okay, the hydrogen atom would be as large as 10 million Earths laid side by side. Okay, that's how large the hydrogen atom would have to become if you enlarge the firmament to the size of a hydrogen atom. Okay? 10 million Earths laid by side. That's how big the hydrogen atom would have to become. Alright? So, obviously, these things are tiny, but when you have a medium of this thing together, okay, packed together to fill up the whole universe, okay, as one, this thing is huge. Alright? Okay. Okay, so the density of the firmament, when you put the length and the mass together, it'll be 5 times 10 to the 93 third grams slash centimeters. Alright. Alright, so now basically, you know, like I said, it's a medium. So basically it's a bunch of particles stacked on top of each other, stacked up, and there's no space in between them. That's how small they are. There's no space in between them. Okay. Now, how can you move through the firmament? All right. If the firmament is defined as firm, okay, firm. All right. Like I said, the Hebrew word is rakia, okay, which means solid. Okay. So how can we move through a solid particle? I mean, how can we move through this? Okay. How can we move through a solid foundation? How can space be the firmament? Okay. Made up of something solid and us move through it. How's that possible? Basically, anything, the Planck particle, the firmament particle length is 10 to the negative 33 centimeters. Okay? So, of the smallest stable particles, a proton is 10 to the negative 13 centimeters. Okay? So, basically, anything the size of a proton and larger, you won't be able to detect the firmament. Okay? But everything that moves through the firmament moves in a wave pattern. Okay? So when light comes to the earth, is traveling, it travels in waves. Okay? Everything moves in a wave pattern. Alright? So, you know, if you're traveling through space, it's going to be impossible to travel in a straight line. Okay? That's going to be impossible. Alright? So nothing can travel in a straight line through the firmament. Okay? Everything moves in waves. Okay? In orbits. Alright? So basically, that's how everything moves in relation to the firmament. Alright? Can't just move normally. Okay? Everything moves in a wave. That's why when you see an atom, okay, when you see the electron, okay, moving, when you see the electrons moving, they move in an orbit, okay, around that atom. Okay? So that just is an example of nothing can travel through the firmament in a straight line. Everything moves in a wave. Okay? So when you see the electrons, they're moving in orbits. Okay? That's because of the firmament. Okay? They have an orbit. Okay? Even the electron. So just like the stars have an orbit around the earth, the electrons within us, everywhere, whatever. Okay? They're moving in orbits. Okay? That's because of the firmament. You can't travel through the firmament unless it's in a wave pattern. Alright? Now, let's see what we got. Okay. So, other names for the firmament. Okay? Other names for the firmament. You got this shit that they call dark matter. Okay? That's another name for the firmament. Alright? You have the ether, which is what they say is what light is, how light travels. Okay? No, that's the firmament. Okay? You have virtual particles. Okay? Space-time foam. Okay? That's another name for the firmament. It's a bunch of particles that pop in and out of existence, and basically, you know, that's exactly what the particles of the firmament do. Okay, and that's the force that creates that wave orbit. Okay, or that wave type of yeah, that wave orbit. Okay, so an example, let's say, so like let's say example of how this might work. Okay, all right, so what happens is the Lord shoots a piece of she shoots particles into our realm. Okay, all right, now basically our dimension. Okay, these particles, he shoots them into our dimension. All right, obviously the Lord is infinite in anything you can think of. All right, power, light, whatever, time, length, everything's infinite about the Lord. Okay, now every 10 to the negative 44 seconds, a sheet of energy he shoots into our realm. Okay, you could say it's the future or you could call it the past, whatever, but he shoots it into our realm. All right, the particle undergoes a phase change. We call this process the present. Okay, all right, and that's the temperature that they say. It solidifies into a sheet of Planck. Okay, into a sheet, solidifies into a sheet. Okay, and basically what will happen was, it'll solidify into a sheet and stack like holly buns. So it'll solidify into a sheet, probably drop like this. It'll be stacked, and basically, that would be, once it gets stacked, that's when it will go out of existence. Okay. So I mean, we don't know the shape of these particles. It could be, square shaped. It could be oval shaped. Who knows? All right. It solidifies, stacked, and goes out of existence. Okay. So you can basically assume that that's how the Lord probably keeps track of, every single thing that happens. Okay? These particles come into existence and go out of existence. Okay? So, keeping a complete record of what's going on. Okay? So, basically, what happens is, as the firmament rotates, its gravitation force is carried with it. Okay? So, we call it the clouds, how they form and, move in circles around the earth. That's the Coriolis force. So basically the same thing is going on in the universe. Okay? The Coriolis force of the firmament takes every star, every atom, every photon, and basically swashes it around the earth in a period of about a year. Alright? Now, when they talk about dark matter, when they talk about the Big Bang, they try to say that, started from, I guess, a small particle and then it exploded, and that's how all the universes are moving outwards from the center and moving out. And they said, for some reason, when they look at it, it seems as though the ones further out, farther away, they're not slowing down, they're actually speeding up. Okay, which doesn't make sense. Now, the only reason I can say that they're saying this is because basically, when you have the stars that are further out, all right, furthest away from Earth, okay, The stars furthest away from Earth obviously have a longer distance to travel around Earth. Okay, so we use the stars for time. Obviously, that's what the Lord created them. He said, okay, and for light. But the ones furthest away from Earth would probably have to move faster in order to keep up the time. Okay, let's say you're on a track. You're running track and field. Okay, if you all start at the same place and you're all going to run around the track one time and race, the people on the inside, if everyone runs the same speed, the people on the inside will get there faster. Okay? Now, if the people on the outside run faster than the people on the inside, then maybe everybody can come to the finish line evenly. Okay? If the people on the outside, the further you are to the outside of the track, you would have to run faster. Okay? So if you start at one point and you all do one lap around the track, basically, if that's the case, everyone will come in to the finish line around the same time. So that's the only reason I can think of them saying that the stars that are moving furthest out seem to be traveling even faster, okay? Because obviously there was no Big Bang or none of that bullshit, okay? So, like I said, they call it dark matter is one of the names for it. The virtual particles or space-time foam, okay? I'm trying to think of some other names. Well, like I said, there's some other names for it, but basically, all this is the explanation of what the firmament is and what the Bible broke down thousands of years ago. All right. So if you want the full creation, the real creation is obviously in the Bible. You can't trust these scientists on anything. All right. They're not meant to tell you the truth. They don't want you to believe that Earth is the center of the universe, because then you're going to actually think that you're important. Then you're going to you might actually think there's a creator. Like, what the fuck? Alright? And they can't have that. Alright? And on top of that, they don't want you to think that the Lord was nice enough to put it all in a book called the Bible. They don't want you to think that. So obviously, everything they're going to tell you is going to be a lie. Alright? So you can't believe nothing these scientists tell you. All you can do is pretty much kind of weed through their bullshit and figure out, what's truth and what's lies. Alright? And you got to do the same thing with these Israelite groups out here. Alright? But like I said, the firmament. Alright? This shit runs all physics. Okay? The firmament runs this whole thing. All the laws of physics are based off of the firmament. Okay? There would be no universal law. Everybody saw universal laws. That's the firmament. Okay? Everything is in respect to the firmament. Now, I still got to figure out some things. I got some questions about gravity, on Earth. It might just be the firmament coming down on you, but keeps you down here. Okay? Instead of like a pull, probably most likely the firmament pushing you down. But I'm not even gonna get that deep. Alright? But basically, that's the true breakdown of Genesis chapter 1. That's basically the firmament. A lot of people think space is just space, and that's not the case. Okay? If it was just empty space out there, then we'd just be falling. Okay? We wouldn't be held up and anchored in a place to where the earth doesn't move. Okay? We'd just be falling. Fuck. It'd be a vacuum state. We'd just be falling. Light couldn't get here, it'd just fall. Okay? If that was really just empty space. So-called empty space. Alright? No, that's not empty space. That's the firmament. Alright? That's the firmament. Alright? Like I said, it rules all physics. Alright? You know, and a lot of guys got it wrong. I should start naming some names, but you know, I'm not even gonna do that. But those of you that I might put y'all mess ups at the end of my video, you know, so the people know that they gotta come here to get it the right way. And you know, those of you that take on this doctrine and start teaching it the right way, you know, all praises to y'all. You know, and you know, double honors to the men that actually get it right. You know, because this is major. And you know, basically, I guess that would be my conclusion for this video. I guess that would have to be my conclusion. So, you know, they try to say the universe is made of nothing. That's obviously a lie. Okay? The universe is made up of something. And the biggest something in the universe is the firmament. Alright? Little teeny tiny particles stacked together to create the universe and to create the force that's causing the universe to revolve around the earth. Okay? Stacked together to create an infinite medium. Okay? So that's the firmament. That's the true breakdown of Genesis chapter 1. And you know, hopefully I did my job. You guys learned something today. It probably wasn't the best explanation or the most organized, but at the same time, I got my point across. And you know, most of us don't know all the details of science, so I try to keep it as simple as possible. So that's what you have, and that's the firmament. All right. So with that being said, all praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And like I said, my name is Micah Ella, located out in the Philadelphia area. And that's it. So stay tuned for part 3 of Real Science is in the Bible. This is part 2.
Teaching the ancient Egyptians astrology. Could you explain 2 Samuel 23rd chapter verse 4 and tell me if he taught the Egyptians that the sun rose and set?
Do you have it? You want me to pull it? Do we got time for me to pull it or no?
Nah, just talk to us.
But you got to read.
23 verse 4.
I understand. I'm not saying I don't want your scripture, but he's saying I ain't got time to pull it, so I would need for you to tell me what it says.
It says that the sun rises.
Okay, but I don't understand.
I'm asking you if Abraham taught the ancient Egyptians astrology and he was such an expert on the universe, could you tell us whether or not the sun rises and sets?
Okay, don't sweat. When the Bible says the sun...
You can get your Bible if you want to. You can pull it right quick on the Bible.
I don't need the Bible to answer this. This is a lot of common sense questions. Once again, when you follow white people, you take everything literal. We say the sun rises and set today. It's not scientific of why we're saying it. We just saying because we see it go away and we see it come back. That's all it's talking about. That's it. It's not better.
What I'm saying is, if you say it's so accurate, why would you be mentioning something that's not true?
Because it's not taken figuratively. That's why, once again, I understand what you're saying.
That Abraham was
taught the Egyptians the astronomy,
and he taught them. Then you're saying he taught them a lot.
No, I did not. What they saying in 2 Samuel, the 23rd chapter, and what Abraham taught the Egyptians is two different things.
All right, that's it. That's it. We got to move on. Any questions?
And let it divide the waters from the waters.
Now the word waters in the Hebrew is the word shemayim, which means heavens, which means space. This is what he was talking about. This is the waters right here, space. They said let it be a firmament. The firmament, the word we use today is the ozone layer to divide the waters from the waters. That's the firmament, ozone layer. And what are you so-called Europeans doing?
Okay. All right. And God said, let there be an atmosphere in the midst of the plasma, and let it divide the plasma from the plasma. Let there be an atmosphere in the midst of the plasma, and let it divide the plasma from the plasma. See, that sounds a little crazy until you realize that the air that we breathe is plasma. The oceans of the water is plasma. The darkness that we look up into is plasma. So God said, let there be an atmosphere in the midst of the plasma, and let it divide the plasma from the plasma. And God made the atmosphere, divided the plasma, which were under the atmosphere, from the plasma, which were above the atmosphere, and it was so. We don't